तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवशिष्ट विष्णुभक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः।
Vrinay Hahe Tulsidevyai Priyai Hai Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachay Namo Namah.
वृंदाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः।
Jai Tulsi Maharani ki Jai. Time for class. I guess everybody else ran away. Because either I preach too heavy or they don't like me anymore. One of the two. All right. So try to be kinder now. Some more people.
Kids school starting today.
What?
Kids school starting today.
Oh.
That's why.
I understand.
Public school starting tomorrow. No, but some private school today.
Private school today.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
Okay, too bad. Everyone just doesn't care anymore.
Oh.
Okay. Probably we don't need an amplifier that today.
Yeah.
Jaya Radha Madhova Kunyabi Haguti
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhova Kunyabi Haguti
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Mopi Janabalapa Gidi Baradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Mopi Janabalapa Gidi Baradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana
Nandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachalti
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachalti
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jayo Radha Madhova Kunda Bihati
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Guru Radha Madhova Kunda Bihati
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kirana Malaba Girivardhauti
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Malaba Girivardhauti
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Nandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachalti
Yamunatira Vanachari
Shiva Kunja Viharuti
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Mayuranu Madhuva Kunja Viharuti
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Om Vishupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Sajashi Shimad His Divine Grace Savaya Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Say Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiveda Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shaya Makunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Murturdam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Murmai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Ki Jai. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Budale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivasesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarani. So today we are reading about the mode of goodness. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 29, text 10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Karma Nirharam Udishya Parasmin Va Tad Arpanam Yajed Yastavyam Iti Va Pritag Bhava Sa Satvika Karma Nirharamudishya Parasmin Vatadarpanam Yajet Yastavyam Itiva Pritagvava Sasadvika Karma Nirharamudishya Parasmin Vatadarpanam Yajet Yastavyam Itiva Pritagvava Sasatvika Karma Nirharamudishya Parasmin Vatadarpanam Yajet Yastavyam Itiva Pritagvava Sasatvika
Karma nirhara muddhisya Parasmin va tadarpanam.
Parasmin va tadarpanam.
Yajedyastavyam iti va.
Yajedyastavyam iti va.
Pratibhava sa satvikaha.
Pritadbhava sa satvikaha.
कर्म निर्हारमुद्दिश्य
Karma nirharamudvishya.
परिस्मिन् वा तदर्पणम्
Parasmin va tadarpanam.
यजेद्यष्टव्यम् इति वा
Yajedyastavyam iti va.
पृथक् भाव स सात्विकः
Pritadbhava sa satvikaha.
Ladies?
Karma nirharamudvishya. Parasmin va tadarpanam. Yajedyastavyam iti va. Pritadbhava sa satvikaha.
कर्म निर्हारमुद्दिश्य
Karma nirharamudvishya.
परस्मिन् वा तदर्पणम्
Parasmin va tadarpanam.
यजेद्यष्टव्यम् इति वा
Yajedyastavyam iti va.
पृथग्भाव स सात्विकः
Pritadbhava sa satvikaha.
कर्म निर्हारम् उद्दिश्य
Karma nirharamudvishya.
परस्मिन् वा तदर्पणम्
Parasmin va tadarpanam.
यजेद्यष्टव्यम् इति वा
Yajedyastavyam iti va.
पृथग्भाव स सात्विकः
Pritadbhava sa satvikaha.
Okay. Karma.
Karma.
Fruit of activities.
Fruitive activities.
Nirharam.
Nirharam.
Freeing himself from.
Freeing himself from.
Uddishya.
Uddishya.
With the purpose of.
With the purpose of.
Parasmin.
Parasmin.
To the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
To the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Va.
Va.
Or. Tadarpanam.
Tadarpanam.
Offering the result of activities.
Offering the result of activities.
Yajat.
Yajet.
May worship.
May worship.
Yastavyam.
Yastavyam.
To be worshipped.
To be worshipped.
Iti.
Iti.
Thus.
Thus.
Va.
Va.
Or. Pitak bhava.
Pritadbhava.
Separatist.
Separatist.
Sa. He.
He.
Satvika.
Satvika.
In the mode of goodness.
In the mode of goodness.
So translation. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrities of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, along with the Brahmacharis, the Rahastas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis, are the members of the 8 divisions of Varna and Ashramas, and they have the respective duties to perform for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When such activities are performed and the results are offered to the Supreme Lord, they are called karma arpanam, or karma arpanam, duties performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. If there is any inebriety or fault, it is atoned for by this offering process. But if this offering process is in the mode of goodness rather than pure devotion, then the interest is different. The 4 ashrams and 4 varnas act for some benefit in accordance with their personal interests. Therefore, such activities are in the mode of goodness. They cannot be counted in the category of pure devotional. Pure devotional service, as described by Rupa Goswami, is free from all material desires. Anyamilashi ta shunyam. C.C. Madhulila 19:167. There can be no excuse for personal or material interests. That's interesting. That's an interesting statement. There's no excuse. In other words, you're a rascal. Even in the mode of goodness. Devotional activities should be transcendental to fruitive activities and empiric philosophical speculation. Pure devotional service is transcendental to all material qualities. Devotional service in the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness can be divided into 81 categories. There are different devotional activities such as hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, offering prayers, rendering service, and surrendering everything. And each of them can be divided into 3 qualitative categories. Just do your multiplication. There is hearing in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, and in the mode of goodness. Similarly, there is chanting in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness, etc. 3 multiplied by 9 equals 27. And when again multiplied by 3, it becomes 81. One has to transcend all such mixed materialistic devotional service in order to reach the standard of pure devotional service, as explained in the next verses. So, let's see if I'm going to read some of the commentaries here. Actually, there's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has an elaborate commentary here. It's interesting. Okay. The 9 types of bhakti, just not reading the whole thing, because many of it's just repetitive. The 9 types of bhakti, 3 types of tamasic, rajasic, and sattvika bhakti, subkama bhakti, are successively superior. In other words, when you get to sattvika bhakti, it's actually superior. When jnana is secondary and bhakti is primary or predominant, it is called jnana mishra bhakti. In other words, you can have a mix. You can have some jnana and mostly bhakti. So it's called jnana mishra bhakti. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. When jnana is secondary and bhakti is primary or predominant, it's called jnana mishra bhakti, which produces Shantarati, beyond the 3 gunas. Some additional information. Oh, thank you. Did you make the garland yourself?
Nope, that's what Usha.
Oh.
Oh, that's what Gershar.
Oh, okay. She gets the mercy today. If jnana predominates, try to understand this. This is a really interesting analysis. And bhakti is secondary. Bhakti being mixed with the anga of jnana. In other words, jnana is predominant in this particular point rather than bhakti. Then it produces sayuja mukti, which means merging into the existence of the Lord. So it's interesting. So you have a different combination. Where bhakti is predominant and jnana is secondary, then you have jnana mishra bhakti. But then when jnana is predominant and bhakti is secondary, you have sayuja mukti. Bhakti mixed with karma, such as a horse sacrifice with a desire for material gain, with some offering of actions and attachment to results, but not offering of all actions, produces salokya liberation. Salokya, of course, one of the 5 types of liberation where you live on the same planet as the Lord, with happiness and powers. If one performs bhakti and offers some karmas without desire for results, it produces shanti rati, in other words, shantaras. Though rajasic and tamasic bhakti produce results, the performers generally get material results. In other words, bhakti in the mode of goodness, you get spiritual results, but not the highest results. However, the results will be greater than usual because of the power of bhakti. In terms of yielding devotional results, in some cases, such bhakti will with time become pure bhakti. So there's hope. Hope for all of you. As illustrated in the following verse. This is very interesting, this commentary. Sacham dish jatyartitam artiton ridam naivartado yatpunar artitayata swayam vidate bhajatam anichatam ichapidanam nijapada palavam. The Lord certainly gives desired objects to devotees who request them, but he does not give in such a way that the devotees will ask again after finishing his enjoyment, unless you get burnt out, in other words. He gives his lotus feet, which includes all desirables, to those worshippers who do not desire them. Well, do not desire the other desirables. That's really what's referring to. Okay, again, the verse, karma nirharamudayadisya parasmin va tadarpanam yajat yastavyam iti va pritadbhava sasadvika. So, Om Gana Timidandasya Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshur Udmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam sometimes bhakti in the mode of goodness is actually encouraged. Because, let's refer to the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where you have all the descriptions, or some of the descriptions, of hell. And they're pretty bad. Really bad. Like, if you hurt the devotees, you get put through the sugarcane press again and again and again. Oh my God. We used to go on Sankirtan and say that to people, you better be kind to us. Or you're going to go through a sugarcane press. Or thrown off a cliff and have to walk up and down, up, and then get thrown off again. All your bones are broken, and then you have to climb up again. Anyway, it's all in the subtle body, and you don't die. So, when Parikshit Maharaj heard this, his primary concern was something like this. How can these souls, these persons, become free from this suffering? And Shukadeva, we know the story that Shukadeva Goswami tried to test him by presenting prayaschita there. Prayaschita means atonement, that you do something to atone for your sins. I think we've mentioned many times before, the Christians, they used to have this flagellation, self-flagellation. They would hit each other. Anyone who's seen that movie, The Da Vinci Code, anyone seen that movie? Yeah. You saw this guy all bloody and everything like that because he was atoning for his sins. And even when I was young, one time I went to this one museum called Ripley's Believe It or Not. Maybe you heard me mention that before. And downstairs they had everything that was there from the churches, the early churches. There were hair shirts. There was this sarcophagi where you would just sit with needles sticking into you just to atone from your sins. Anyway, so you can't atone that way because, as we know, one has the papa bija, the sinful seed of desire. And so therefore, Parikshit Maharaj refused to accept that particular instruction. That actually shows that one should not accept blindly what the spiritual master says, because the spiritual master may be testing you. Like that. Like, Prabhupada sometimes would say to a devotee, who asked to take sannyas, he says, I think you should get married. And then the person said, okay, Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was actually testing the devotee. So Parikshit Maharaj understood it was a test, and he said, I cannot accept it. And eventually, there's the famous verse, which is one of my favorite verses in the Bhagavatam. Tasmad sankirtanam vishnu jangamangalam angasam mahatam api kauravya vijikantaka nishkritam. So what does that mean? That this sankirtan, this chanting the Lord's holy name, is the best type of atonement. It's not just atonement. It is the most auspicious activity for everyone. Mahatam api kauravya vijikantaka nishkritam. So anyway, so this was presented by Shukadeva Goswami, and then Shukadeva Goswami tells the story of Ajamil, which illustrates the point. And Ajamil, he was not chanting out of devotion. He was simply calling out
His son.
his son. He wasn't even chanting any of these modes of nature that are described here, because he wasn't thinking he's worshiping the Lord. He was thinking, Narayan, my son, my son. And that's how merciful the Lord is. So in other words, we do find some encouragement for devotional service and we actually find encouragement for devotional service in the mode of passion too in the Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, of course, that's Krishna's or Shukadeva Goswami's compassion to present things, you know, that everybody can become attracted one way or the other and eventually become purified. However, we are encouraged to cultivate the mode of goodness, but not to think in terms of our goal, and that is connected to the mode of goodness, to get liberated. We're encouraged to think of our goal as being pure devotional service, but actually, even mode of goodness. I mean, when you join the movement, you're encouraged to think back to home, back to Godhead, which is Salokya, which is mentioned here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Salokya.
Yeah.
You know, Salokya means to live on the same planet. You know, that's interesting, isn't it? Salokya, and of course there's Samipya, Sharsti, like that. We don't like Sayuja, because that's merging into the Lord. So actually you do find this, you know, back to home. We used to go on Sankirtan in the street, you know, Mahasankirtan, and we would chant, back to home, back to Godhead, back to home, back to Godhead. And devotees always ask, you know, when am I going back to Godhead? You know, am I going to go back in this lifetime, Guru Maharaj? But really, that's not pure devotional service right there. But still, we have to give people that enticement. Like Krishna also talks about the miseries of the material world, the alyam shasvatam. You know, one who goes back, you know, the Bhagavad Gita is full of verses like that. Yet Gatwan, that he went to Teta Dhamma Padmamama, the Tad Vasyate Suryo Nashashanko Napavadaya. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. My abode is not illuminated by sun or moon or even electricity. Yeah. Now we would be out of a job. Electricity, and what are we going to do there? Yeah, and no newspapers. and you know, Todd would be out of a job because there'd be no politics there. He may be watching. I don't know. I didn't say. Can't see him.
I'm sending the recording.
What? So, you know, it just sounds really attractive that every word is a song, every action is a dance. Wow. And so that, you know, that is sort of appealing to people's, you know, pritagba, you know, separate interests.
Yeah.
So, basically, we understand that, and we encourage people in that way. And Prabhupada said, you should want to go back to God. Prabhupada actually said that, because Prabhupada understood the psychophysical or spiritual position of everybody and encouraged them accordingly. However, as one advances in devotional service, then it naturally changes. I mean, that's been my experience. I mean, certainly when I joined the movement, I just wanted to get the HELL out of here. You know, and I always give the example that as a new devotee, I was thinking I was a coward boy, you know, and the brahmacharis were all coward boys together. You know, if we had thought that one of us was a gopi, it would have been ostracized. What are you doing in the brahmachari ashram? So we were seeing things from a materialistic perspective. So anyway, so that's there, but cultivation of the mode of goodness in one's activities is very important. Like I was thinking like that, this morning I was chanting japa in the park, and you know, sometimes we chant in a passionate way. You know, even though we may think we want pure devotional service, but that's a different thing. There's actually two things: how we perform devotional service, or our intention. And sometimes we may have the intention, I want to be a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality, just please Krishna. But then we're passionate in our activities. And that leads to inattention while chanting. So Prabhupada encouraged us to cultivate the mode of goodness, not in terms of our goal, but in terms of our activities. And that means what? Being regulated. So anyway, I was chanting this morning in there. And sometimes, we chant just to get our rounds done. So everybody knows. Sometimes I have a tendency just to do things too quickly, so therefore I end up hitting my head sometimes. That's not the mode of goodness. Several times it's happened. Actually, you know that. It happened right in front of Navadvip one time. We were at Radhakund, walking into Nityananda's Baitaka. There we go. It's just so passionate. So wasn't thinking goodness. Slow down. So goodness means to always be aware. What are you doing? Connect with Krishna. Connect with Krishna's holy names. Do things devotionally, not just let's go in there and see Lord Nityananda's appearance play. That's passion. I mean, even though I want to be a pure devotee, it's one day after billions of births. Actually, Prabhupada said, this is the humility of a devotee. He said, I have no hope for direct service to the coming birth, lakhs or whatever births.
Wow.
So no hope for direct service in the coming lakhs of births. So, but still, we may be thinking I want pure devotion, but our activities become very passionate. We're preaching, trying to make a lot of devotees, and then we just lose. It's passion. And so then I end up hitting my head millions of times. It's just like standard. I have to basically wear a helmet throughout my whole life. Isn't it? Just like even before I came here, I was fixing preparing to put a new air conditioning unit in my house, and there's wall there on the outside. You have to do certain things, and there's a low wall on the outside. So I put on a hat because I knew I had the tendency to hit it and then scrape my head again. So basically, slow down. So chanting japa this morning, I think, this japa is basically my offering of love to Krishna. Yes, I have to hear. I chant fast, really fast. I hear. But what is the emotion? The bhav. It's one thing. Oh, I heard my japa very nicely today. But what was your bhav? What was your emotion when you were chanting? I was chanting just to hear. I mean, it's all right. Chanting just to hear. Right? Prabhupada said, he was asked one time, what should you think of? And Prabhupada said, just chant, but to hear. And then, that's fine. But we should sometimes slow down. That's mode of goodness. Slow down. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? What do I want to achieve from it? I want to have every act be an act of offering of love to Krishna. So I was thinking like that, chanting japa is like a love song. You're singing, and Krishna's there. And I should be thinking, Krishna, please accept this. Not just hearing, but Krishna, please accept this, and please whatever. And that's the mode of goodness while we're chanting japa. So even though we may want pure devotional service, we can be chanting japa in the mode of goodness, or even in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
So we have to cultivate goodness. And that goodness becomes Pashuddha Sattva. Because it's a combination of what our ultimate desire is, and then the process of achieving that ultimate desire. So I'm breaking it out into two different parts. Actually, I had that realization this morning. Ultimate desire and how you're achieving, and the process of achieving the ultimate, how you do Shravakya, Smaranam, etc. So, anyway, so that means throughout the day, we should think of quality and not so much quantity. You understand? So if we're thinking quantity, like one time, Prabhupada said the devotees were just concentrating on making more and more devotees. And Prabhupada said, no, don't make any more devotees. Prabhupada said, it's time to boil the milk.
Yeah.
So the devotees, they were doing a fantastic transcendental activity, preaching Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada also said, don't make me like Alexander the Great. Why? Because Alexander the Great, he would conquer something, and then he would go on to something else, and everything would fall apart. Actually, the real reason everything fell apart was that he got married, but that's another issue. He lost all interest. I mean, it's a really interesting story. He got married, and previously all of his soldiers and everything were just like one team spirit, and they didn't see him again. But that's another issue. But Prabhupada said, because we should do things deliberately in the mode of goodness, thinking, while we're chanting, Gurvastika prayers, we should be thinking of what we're doing and offering not only what we're doing, but do it with love. Isn't it? Patram pushpam palam. Yome bhakta pariyachati. With love and devotion. Krishna, please accept it. And so then the bhakti becomes of the highest quality. Not only your intention to become a pure devotee, or simply please Krishna, but the method that you use. So this is some realizations I had this morning in Chanting Japa. So any questions or comments? Yes.
Gurudev, when you were reading Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary,
Yeah.
it's mentioned that a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedh Yagna, leads to Solokya
It's mixed.
planet.
It's mixed. Yeah.
Correct. And also it gives you Shantaras, if I'm not wrong. Right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking then the Prithu Maharaj did that, and then one does the like Indra gets to his post by doing 100 sacrifices of all. Anybody to attain the position of Indra has to do their 100
Fire sacrifices. Yeah.
So,
And Indra didn't like it. Indra sent down.
yeah.
And it became a sannyasi. He kept stealing all the horses for the horse sacrifice. So what's the question?
So the question is that, but it gives you Shantaras, but Indra's post is not Shantaras. But it's mentioned in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary.
Yeah.
100 horse sacrifices leads to Shantaras.
Yeah.
But Indra, I don't think Indra practices Shantaras.
Mixed Shantaras. He worships the Lord in a mood of.
He's a bit passionate.
No, he's passionate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mixed. But his mood is primarily worship the Lord in the mood of awe and reverence. He does worship the Lord, but it's in the mood of awe and reverence. It's not pure Shantaras. It's mixture. It's mixture. It's a mixture. Shantaras itself won't get you back to Godhead. Pure Shantaras, even if it's pure, it won't get you back to Godhead. It's on reverent. Shantaras has to be mixed with some dasha to get you back to Godhead. Like you see, the entities in the spiritual world who are primarily in Shantaras also do service for Krishna. Like the trees, for example. They're providing fruit or providing shade. Even if they're inactive, they're providing shade for Krishna.
Flute too, right? Krishna's flute.
Yeah, they're Krishna's flute, but they're service. There's a service attitude. There has to be the Shanta mixed with dasha, some dasha, to go back to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Because that's our constitutional position. Jivera Swarupahoy, Nitya, Krishna Das. So anyway, so I thought that you were going to ask the question, why was Prithu Maharaj? That's another question. Why is Prithu Maharaj engaged in these horse sacrifices? And my answer to that, because that's what I thought your question was going to be, my answer to that is to set an example for others.
That's what I thought, probably for the
Yeah,
kingdom.
to set example for others. we have to encourage others to act properly according to their status
Correct. And
within the modes of
self-care
nature.
as well.
Just like we were talking the other day about ethics and morality. I mean, obviously, if someone is a pure devotee, you don't have to tell them about ethics and morality. Because yasyasti bhakti bhagavacha kinchana sarvash gunas tatra samasate sara arabhavakta shikoto mahadguna mano retaina sati dalvatavahi. That automatically a pure devotee attains all good qualities. Automatically is ethical, automatically is truthful. But because people are not on that level, it's actually important to teach sub-religious principles to the devotees. And maybe even some rituals and things like that. I mean, we need the help of external things in order to try to cultivate the mode of goodness, or at least try to advance in spiritual life. So, other questions or comments? Yes.
So Gurudev, we talked about quality versus quantity in terms of chanting.
Yeah.
So especially when preaching to the new devotees, Gurudev.
Yeah.
So a good example is, so there's a couple that I'm trying to propagate. So she mentioned that I don't get the taste. Actually, I use the word, don't worry about the quality for the time being, just get your hands on the beads and then start chanting. So she's chanting.
Don't worry about the quality, you said? Don't worry about the quantity. You said quality.
Sorry, so don't worry about, yes.
Yeah, you made a mistake there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the quantity.
Quantity,
Yeah.
So I've told her that, first you get your, start doing chanting. So she's doing 2 rounds a day now.
Yeah.
And then slowly I said, when you keep doing this, you get the taste of it. And slowly after
That's
1
the way to
round,
do
2
it.
rounds, and then 4 rounds, eventually you get the taste.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, automatically. I give them, actually it's important to give people an expectation, which they come to. You say, what you said is perfect. So I said, you just chant 1 round, whatever you can do with your heart. And I said, I know automatically you're going to get more taste. And as you get more taste, there's like a suggestion which they live up to. As you get more taste, you'll chant more and more automatically. I know that. I'm not worried about it. And then because of that, you're actually having faith. You're showing faith in them. It's very psychological, but it's compassionate because you have faith in them. Like Prabhupada had faith in the devotees in Australia when he first came here and initiated all the lectures. And, many of them lived up to that.
Yes.
So it's interesting, if you actually extend trust to people, they're more likely to act trustworthy.
Yeah.
And if you try to, we talked about this yesterday,
Yeah.
if you try to micromanage people, and you don't trust them, let's say you're a Bhakti Vriksha leader here, sorry about this, and the people under you, you should report to me every day, devotional activities. You are not allowed to contact your guru, but through me. No one comes to the Father but through me. Like Jesus Christ. So then that lack of trust makes someone act untrustworthy or rebel. But when you trust someone, they live up to the trust.
They're more encouraged.
Yeah.
Talked about the higher trust. You talked about the higher trust culture.
Yes, a higher trust culture. Like even in the business world, apart from Krishna consciousness, where you have all these like assessments and everything like that, it can drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I'm an adult, Don't you ever think like that in the business world? Don't they trust me? And it just doesn't, takes away the spirit of enthusiasm for me.
We have practically some leaders, they are doing it.
Yeah.
And the students are coming to me, they have no interest in it, they're lacking, they even have losing faith in ISKCON. And they're saying, because they're asked to report on certain things, some leaders are asking money from them, forcing them to come and do some service certain days. Well, I couldn't say much, but have some.
Oh my God. Obviously, a leader should be primarily concerned with someone's spiritual advancement. Not what they can do for you, but how advanced they are, or to encourage them in spiritual advancement. And there has to be an extension of trust because everything has to be done voluntarily. That's the mode of goodness. Mode of passion is micromanaging people. And mode of goodness means you extend the trust. You will do it. And, when people trust you, then you really are enthusiastic. Whether it's in the business field or in Krishna consciousness. And that's mode of goodness. So in other words, this understanding the modes of nature pervades our daily life in many ways, even in the business world.
Yeah.
But to speak of our activities in Krishna consciousness, our chanting, or when we're offering arti or doing anything, then life becomes so much more pleasant. I was chanting japa out there, and it was just like, I was ecstatic out there in the park. And they almost ran into the bicycles. It's interesting, at that time in the morning, early in the morning, these people were riding bicycles. In the park. Anyway, whatever. And I'm thinking, don't you understand this park is meant for me? For devotees, Not for demons. No, I think like that. That's the mode of ignorance. It's for me. So we have to be careful. Always think in the mode of goodness. Whatever we're doing, in the mode of goodness. Slow down. Particularly for me, that's important. You slow down. Because I have this tendency to plan things out in my mind. How am I going to do this later on? How am I going to do that? So slow down. Be there in the moment, mindfulness. Like we talk about in the spiritual world. The ecstasy is they're mindful. They're in the moment. So they don't worry or think about, hey, this activity happened yesterday. People ask me that question all the time. If they have full knowledge and everything in the spiritual world, they know Krishna's God and everything like that, or even Krishna has full knowledge, how does he not get bored? He doesn't get bored because they're in the moment. And then you don't consider the past or future. Like when you're eating, obviously you're in the moment. And some people eat in the mode of passion. They just, they're driving a car and they're eating their prasadam and saying, you ever see that? Did you ever do that?
I did, yes, Gurudev. I did before.
I mean, sometimes you see people driving the car on the way to work and the man shaving themselves.
Oh, yes, I've seen that. No, I've seen a lot of people there.
You've seen a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a passion.
Even this morning, Gurudev.
Really?
Because he's driving, it's packed traffic. Because I don't know why, it's just a lot. That's just so much traffic.
So we should be, whatever, even in our business and whatever we're doing, it should be always goodness. Haste makes waste.
Yeah.
Like I discovered in my head. Just go slow, think of what you're doing, be happy, you get a little less done, but you do it with quality. And you won't make so many mistakes. So that's mode of goodness. So very important. And so therefore in other words, that's why we should be aware that we should eat food in the mode of goodness. You may say, well, mode of goodness is material. Yes, it's material. But by being in the mode of goodness in our activities, we can think of Krishna more. The mode of goodness, sometimes I compare the mode of goodness to an airport. You go to an airport, you can take a plane. If you don't go to the airport, generally you can't take an airplane, except for quadcopters. But, so therefore, put yourself in the mode of goodness. And then you can be more Krishna conscious. But your goal should not be in the mode of goodness.
Understood.
But in the beginning, your goal should be in the mode of goodness.
Back to Godhead.
Yeah, back to home, back to Godhead. I want to get out of the material world. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. passion. Anyways, sometimes I want to get out of the material world, and then you start chanting in passion. Isn't it? It's really interesting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Krishna help me, Krishna Krishna. Then you're in passion. But your goals in the mode of goodness, but your actions are in the mode of passion. So keep it be aware of how advanced you are in devotional service, and either have the goal in the mode of goodness to get out of the material world, salokya, or if you're ready for it, you're actually on that level of realization. It actually encourages you to love Krishna, then be in the transcendental mode of goodness, to a pure devotional service, as is going to be described in the next verse. So, any other questions or comments? Yes?
No,
you-
you also yesterday didn't say.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just a quick one. Is there an example of bhakti mixed with ignorance?
Yeah. I see it all the time. One becomes very angry at the other devotees because they didn't do a particular service or something like that. That's mixed with ignorance, When there's anger like that, destructive. Parents say, you didn't chant your rounds, I'm going to spank you. If you don't chant your rounds, you're not going to eat prasadam today.
Yeah.
That's not passion, that's ignorance. Destructive.
Can we quote Durvasa Muni as bhakti in mode of ignorance?
Can we quote what?
Durvasa Muni?
No! He's a pastime, You be careful, he's going to come and you're going to be in trouble. He's going to pull out one of his hairs, and send someone after you. Yeah. Be careful. No way.
Nice.
I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, Just like you wouldn't say that Lord Shiva is in the mode of ignorance, even though Lord Shiva is the presiding deity of the mode of ignorance. But you wouldn't say he's in the mode of ignorance. It's a little bit different. I mean, Lord Shiva is Ashutoshi. He's a pure devotee. Again, he's always trying to please Ram. So you can't say that. Yeah, so right now I can't think of any specific shastric examples of a devotee in the mode of ignorance. There's obvious examples of devotees in the mode of passion, which is Dhruva Maharaj. I mean, it's quite common.
Hanuman as well. Like
is what? The mode of passion?
No, his activity, because when he got angry, he just went, but he used his activity to serve.
No.
No.
No, but he wasn't controlled by anger.
No, he was not controlled.
But he was deliberately using that. That's a little bit different. A little bit, not a little, a lot different. He was deliberately using it. When I start to move too quickly and hit my head, I'm not deliberately doing it to make the devotees worried so they'll feel compassion. So let me hit my head, I need compassion from the devotees so they think more about me. Hanuman, his application of anger is different than our application of anger. His application of anger is, he's saying it's appropriate to act angry, and if it wasn't appropriate, he would control it. He would actually control it. But because it was appropriate for him to be angry. I mean, I'll give you an example. When he was looking for Sita Devi, he went into the palace And then he saw sleeping on this real big bed was Ravan and Mandodari. First he thought it was Sita there, but then he realized Sita would not be with Ravan.
Yeah.
But then he thought, wow, I can kill him. And accomplish Ram's purpose. But then he thought, no, Ram said, just do this. So he's in goodness. He was ready to use anger, but he wasn't controlled by anger. There's a little bit of difference. Oh, not a lot different. So he thought, no, Ram said, only find out where Sita is. And then report back. So he thought, no, it's not my prerogative. No, he could have killed him. Because basic Ravan did not have a benediction that he couldn't be killed by an animal. So Hanuman, wouldn't have violated Ravan's benediction that he got. But he thought, this is my mission, okay, mode of goodness. So many times we may have an inclination to do something in passion, but then we just pull ourselves back. No, this is not my mission, my life's mission. Do what Ram wants. That's pure devotee. No, Hanuman was never. Yeah, just because someone's angry doesn't mean that's in the mode of ignorance or passion. It has to be uncontrolled anger. Isn't it?
I was actually thinking.
So like devotees get angry, uncontrolled angry with their children sometimes. Because their children aren't Krishna conscious enough. I see this all the time, the interaction between the parents and the children. It's not all the time. So I should be careful, that's an absolute statement. Some of the time. And then, or they become frustrated. That's the mode of passion. My child, when will he ever become Krishna? So. So now you have something to use. I give you ammunition in case you. So, it's actually interesting, the whole modes of nature, how you can actually have a transcendental goal and still act sometimes in passion. It's interesting. I found it quite interesting. I had that realization this morning, chanting japa, just like, and then when you chant japa, cultivating the mode of goodness, it's actually so sweet. Then every mantra becomes like a sweet ball. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. You're talking to Krishna. Not only do you hear, but you should remember that you're talking to Krishna. You're communicating with Krishna. It's so sweet, isn't it? It's just. We often forget that. We just try to get our rounds done. We keep looking at our counter beads. One time, or we pull the beads out. When am I going to finish this particular round? Isn't it? You do that sometimes. That's passion. Oh my God, half a round left. All right. Anyway, enough of that. So thank you very much. We had a lot of people watching this morning because they were all at home eating prasadam. Yeah, we had the most people watching this morning. Okay, on that happy note, see everybody later. Prasadam.